Welcome to the Big Picture Retirement Show, where you'll learn what it really takes to have a successful retirement. With over 20 years of experience, your host, Rick Rivera of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, has seen it all and is here to help you achieve your retirement dreams. This is the Big Picture Retirement Show.
Welcome into the Big Picture Show with Rick Rivera. I'm Mark Elliott. Glad you are with us. Rick Rivera is a partner at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. Rick and the team are here to help you figure out where you are on that road to retirement. Can I retire? Well, when can I retire? Do I have enough? Will we be okay? And that's really one of the biggest concerns people have is, will we be okay if we retire? Will our money last as long as we need it? Those certainly are questions that the Safeguard Investment Advisory Group team and Rick Rivera are here to help you answer. 800-700-1980 is the number if you'd like to sit down with Rick. Maybe just have a phone call to start with. Hey, I've got a couple questions. What do you think? Am I on the right track? 800-700-1980. You can always go to the website to learn more, safeguardinvestment.com. Find out about events that Rick puts on and the team puts on. A lot of events. A lot of them are just for educational purposes so you understand a little bit more about retirement. Safeguardinvestment.com. Rick, welcome. You ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready to do this, Mark. Thank you.
Preparing for retirement that could last 20, if you go back to the 50s, it was typical for a retirement if you retired at 65, if you lived that long back then, you might get 5 to 7 years out of the rest of your life. Now, today, if you retire at 65, you're going to get 10 to 15 almost minimum, but you might get 20 or even 30. So it's a different time. And in the past, there's no doubt, Rick, you've been in this over 20 years. Pensions were probably more of a factor when you started than you see today. You still see some pensions, which is fantastic, but most don't have a pension. So retirement's different today. And now it's on the 401k, which is on our shoulders, not on the company's shoulders for our retirement. It's based on our decisions. What impact do you think that shift has had from the lack of pensions in today's retirement world to the 401k retirement world? What kind of an impact has that had on individuals planning for retirement?
Dramatic. Because now that the savings is totally up to the individual person, up to the investor, that's going to require discipline. And, back in the day, when people had pensions and they retired, if for some reason they didn't put that much in the 401k or didn't save a whole lot of money, at least they had the pension to kind of rescue them, save them. It was like a something there that would cover them. But now what happens is those people that are saving, and it's required, it requires a disciplined approach. Let's face it, sometimes people, they get caught up in certain scenarios with family and different things. And not only they're maybe not saving enough money in their 401k, but sometimes they're even drawing money out because maybe they overspent on credit cards and things of that nature. Then coming into retirement, the only real income that they have might be Social Security. So this is where most people are going to have, now that most companies and most institutions are doing away with pension plans, they really have to get disciplined. They got to start saving as early as possible and really be very strategic in how they do this, because there is no parachute. And for many of my younger clients, they're in a position where they're really trying to save and put away in a fashion that they're not counting on Social Security. If it's there, super, wonderful. But if not, they don't want to be relying on it. So, I should say, unfortunately or fortunately, whatever term you want to use for it, the onus is going to be on you 100%.
Well, in my case, that would be unfortunately. It's on my shoulders, I think. There's no doubt about that, because it is about income. Where's your income going to come from? You got Social Security, not a guarantee, but I mean, we're thinking it's going to be there. Certainly there's challenges with the Social Security world and the income availability. They're talking about 2035, maybe they'll reduce Social Security by like 20% or so. So there's a lot of things up in the air. If you have questions about this, and certainly your 401k, now really the onus is on you. It's on your shoulders now. Our grandparents had pensions and Social Security. Their guaranteed income covered them. The rest of their savings, they could, take trips, whatever they wanted to do, but income was not an issue. Today, it is an issue. It's on you. 800-700-1980 to chat with Rick and the team at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. 888-700-1980. Might be the most important phone call you make, and there's no cost. Totally complimentary. And you think about the 401k world, Rick, and there's just not that many choices typically on a 401k compared to the IRA world, where you can go almost anywhere in that world. But a lot of people, and you're not going to be shocked, I'm kind of in this category. Once I select an option in that 401k, I leave it at that. I'm hoping for the best. What are some of the potential risk of my, and probably others, set it and forget it investment approach?
Yeah, obviously, as time goes on, the investments have to be structured around you and what we're trying to accomplish. So, for example, if you truly want to save for retirement, by sitting down with an advisor, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what is the income that you're going to need at retirement age. Then what we do is we have to have a plan to not only set up the investments to make sure they're structured based upon your specific goals. And you were talking about the specific investments, but also the contributions as well. Because sometimes people will put the contributions in as set it and forget it as well. So not only are the investments not changing and modifying based upon changes in the economy and everything else and the client's individual goals, but the contributions are not changing either. Maybe you set it for 10% and you really need to be putting in, based upon your objectives, 15%, or more. Or maybe, 10% was fine for a certain period of time, but now we're finding that the way you have the investment structured, it's not keeping up to par to where you need to be. So now we need to adjust the contributions and make up some lost ground. So there's a few dials that need to be adjusted within the 401k and reviewed on a regular basis. So that way we're staying on track. And if we're falling behind, we can say, okay, do we need to dial up the contributions? Is this portfolio a little bit too conservative? Can we dial up the risk a little bit? Or maybe we have too much risk. Should we be dialing the risk back because now we're closer to retirement and we're going into income distribution phase? So there are a few dials that need to be adjusted and modified. And you're absolutely right. People just set it, forget it. And, you don't want to wait till you're a year away from retirement and realize you're behind the 8 ball.
So talk a little bit about and most companies allow you to do the in-service rollover, if you will, at 59 and a half of their 401k. Maybe you're not going to retire till 65, but it gives you 5.5 years of actually now having more control of your 401k. That is certainly something you help your clients with once they can do that. They may not be retiring yet, but you have the ability to help them put their 401k into a different maybe tool that is more effective for them down the road, whatever they need, right?
Oh, 100%. And this is important for people to understand because a lot of people, and I'm glad you brought it up because a lot of people don't even think about it. The advantage with the 401k is that even though you're still working, once you become 59 and a half, they do allow you to take a portion or all the money out of your 401k, transfer that to a traditional IRA, and now you have many more investment options available to you. So that way you can fine tune your investments based upon your retirement goals, your retirement objectives. Now, when you do this conversion to a traditional IRA, keep in mind you're not shutting off or you're not stopping your 401k contributions.
Still taking advantage of the match, yes.
Exactly. You're still taking advantage of the match. You're still making contributions and all the rest of it. But now the world of investments just opened up to you because maybe your 401k gives you a choice of 20 or 30 different mutual funds. But because, and again, it's designed more for accumulation phase. But once you start going into income distribution phase and planning for retirement, now you may need more tools and services available to you to accomplish that. And that's why the 401k does allow you to convert to a traditional IRA at 59 and a half so you can get a little bit more elaborate with your planning.
Hey, what are those things called? If I had a 2025 401k, what is that term?
Say that one more time. If you had a 2025.
Yeah, if I have a 2025.
Are you talking about like a target date?
Yes,
fund?
exactly. That's what I was thinking. So if I had a target date fund, and typically that means the closer I get to that target date, 2025, 2030, whatever it is, typically your 401k is going to go more to the bond world. And boy, the bonds have not been good lately. That's where maybe the other tools in your retirement tool belt to help your clients, because you're not here to sell them things. You're here to help their retirement be better. And is it the insurance world? Is it the market world? How do we make that better for you? So for you, you don't really care which world that makes the most sense for them, but it's what makes the most sense for your client is kind of the direction you try to get them to head, I would imagine.
You know, I talk about this in the workshop, and here's where a lot of people get so confused. You'll Google information, random information on the internet. You'll watch commercials on TV, and one commercial is telling you to buy gold, another one tells you to buy annuities, one tells you to stay away from annuities, another one tells you should be in the market, another one tells you should be buying bond. There's so much conflicting information out there. And the way we look at this is all these different investments, all these different services, what they are is individual tools. And we need to make sure we're using the appropriate tool for the right situation. So we have no allegiance to any particular company, institution, or investment. If this is your goal and you're trying to achieve this specific objective, what we try to do is figure out what's the right mix of investments and services that are going to get you to that specific goal. Because what's right for somebody may not be right for somebody else. So this is where, unfortunately, when you're seeing a lot of these commercials on TV or whatever it is, they're pitching a product. And if you give somebody a hammer, they see everything as a nail. We're here, what we're doing is, again, we want to set you up with the right products, the right services that are going to achieve your specific goal and what's most important to you, nobody else's. And how many people are listening to the radio show right now? And even from the standpoint, if you're lucky enough to even have a pension, you have some colleagues giving you conflicting information. Some colleagues are saying, hey, take the lump sum. Others are telling you, no, take the monthly. And then the same thing when it comes to 401ks. I noticed that some people will copy what their colleagues are doing regarding the 401k because maybe they had a good return last year. But there's so much more to it than that, and that's what we really have to do is dive deep and design it around you, nobody else, and not around your colleagues, because their scenarios are different and they could be making a big mistake and that could be detrimental to you.
So this is one of the opportunities you have. Just we were talking about that in-service rollover of your 401k, no taxes because it's going custodian to custodian. So there's no taxes involved. You're just putting your money in a different place. If you would like to sit down with Rick and talk about that, you've never really heard of that. Hey, I'm going to retire, Rick, at 67, but I'm 61 now. I've never thought about somebody taking control of my 401k, and I'm still going to take advantage of the company match until I retire. If you'd like to learn more about that, call Rick and the team at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, 800-700-1980. No cost to you, 800-700-1980. Back with more of the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group right after this.
You're listening to the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera. For more information about Rick and the Safeguard Investment Advisory Group team, go to safeguardinvestment.com. While you're there, you can also download educational retirement guides and sign up for an upcoming seminar. That's safeguardinvestment.com. Now, back to the podcast.
Welcome back to the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. Rick has over 20 years of experience in the financial industry. I'm Mark Elliott. Glad you're with us. 800-700-1980 if you have questions about anything. We're talking about the 401k retirement world. A lot of people don't know about the in-service distribution that you can do, the rollover, not a distribution, I guess. So you have your company 401k. You've hit the age of 59 and a half. Most companies allow you to roll some or all of that out, but then keep working, keep contributing, and keep taking advantage of the company match, but now you've got a little bit more control over your money. And Rick and the team can certainly walk you through that if that makes sense for you. It may not, but it might. 800-700-1980. I'm Mark Elliott. Glad you're with us. We're talking about the 401k world. Well, one of the challenges, where we started with one of the big differences from when you started in this business to over 20 years ago, a lot of retirees then had pensions and Social Security, so guaranteed income was a given. Now the retirement is on our shoulders with the 401k retirement world. Where's our income going to come from? How much do we need? How do we pull it? How do we do all of that? That's where Rick and the team really come in to help guide you. But one of the big deals, my grandparents retired in the 70s, Rick. They had pensions and Social Security. They did retire to lower taxes. Well, I'm retiring in the 401k IRA retirement world, which means if I have the traditional IRA and 401ks, that means they're all tax deferred. And when I hit 73, I'm going to have to start doing RMDs and all that, required minimum distributions. Taxes are a big deal in today's retirement. Can you talk about taxes and the impact they can have on 401ks and IRAs?
Oh, 100%. What I can tell you is this. Obviously, as most people are aware of, when you're pulling money out of the 401k and the IRAs, 100% of that is reportable on your income. So you're going to be 1099 for that money, and you have to pay the taxes accordingly. Now, the traditional train of thought was, earlier on when people were working, they figured, okay, I'll put money away in the 401k and the IRA because I'm in a higher tax bracket. And when I retire, I'll probably be in a lower tax bracket, and I'll just pay the taxes then as I'm in a lower tax bracket. And here is the catch-22 that we're finding people in. Number one, we're finding out that people are retiring now with close to or almost the same income as when they're working. Now they don't have the write-offs that they used to. The kids are out of the home, so now they don't have those exemptions anymore. And the other big factor is this. What they don't realize is that as you're pulling money out of your IRA or your 401k, that money has a direct impact on how much your Social Security is being subject to tax. So literally, the more you take out of your IRA and out of your 401k, more and more of your Social Security also gets reported on the return.
And you could also raise the price of the Medicare Premium Part B you're paying too, couldn't you?
That is absolutely correct. What then ties in to exactly what you're talking about. Potentially your healthcare insurance may go up as well. So these are all, like, I'll call it hidden taxes that most people are not thinking from a holistic standpoint. They just think, oh, okay, I'll be in a lower tax bracket later on when I retire, and I'll pay the taxes at a lesser amount. But they don't realize that when they pull the money out, it has a snowball effect. And these are all things we can share with you and strategize, and even potentially run a mock tax return for you, showing you, hey, if you retire at this specific age, and knowing that you need X amount of income from your IRA and 401k, and that you're going to get X amount from your Social Security and whatever other sources, here's what you can expect your taxes to be. Now, by making some adjustments, here's where we may be able to mitigate some of the taxes on Social Security and some of the other taxes. So we need to have a game plan. The other scenario that we run into as well is, you were talking about it earlier, is the RMD situation. So now let's say you're taking X amount out of your IRA and 401k, and you found the sweet spot where you can live comfortably, do the things you want to do, and mitigate taxes. All of a sudden, once you turn 73, and if your birth year is 1960, 75, Uncle Sam says, hey, if you're not pulling enough out, he's going to say, hey, listen, now I'm going to force you to pull out X amount out of these accounts so I can get my tax money on this. But again, if he's forcing you to pull out more than you even need or more than you want to, not only are you going to be in a higher marginal tax bracket, but then again, that affects the taxation on your Social Security and potentially healthcare payments and all the rest of it. So what we have to do is figure out, hey, does it make more sense for you to make all your contributions into the 401k and IRA, or should we start talking about Roth IRAs, or even non-qualified account, non-retirement accounts? So when you go to retire, we have different buckets of money that we can work with to create your retirement income in the most tax efficient manner possible. And that's what it's really about.
800-700-1980 to chat with Rick and the team at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group about any or all of this. 800-700-1980, no cost to you, totally complimentary. It might be one of the more important phone calls you make. There's no cost. 800-700-1980. So what are some ways that maybe we could more effectively manage this tax liability? Because we know if you have 401ks and IRAs and they're in the traditional side, not the Roth side, that maybe Roth conversions are an option. Tax diversification, so you go from the taxable to the tax-free to the tax-deferred. There's all these tax buckets. How you help people in a lot of different ways in this area, I would guess.
Yeah, so what we will do is, take a look at their current taxes. We'll look at their situation and determine, does it make sense for them to do Roth conversions? Or maybe they're putting money away and, maybe they need the tax deduction now. We can say, okay, but they have some extra they want to put away. We can say, okay, here's a different type of account. We'll call it non-qualified, non-retirement account that you can, put money into, and we can actually tax manage that. And then when it comes retirement time, we can show you how you can draw money off of that account virtually tax-free. I don't want to say completely tax-free, but virtually tax-free. So now we can, when we're setting up incomes, we can say, okay, based upon your scenario, we suggest you take X amount out of the IRA, X amount out of your Roth, and then this portion out of your non-qualified account. And we can prorate it in a way where we can say, okay, by doing it this way, not only is this money going to last you the rest of your life, but we're totally mitigating taxes. So if we can save you 10 or 15% in taxes, how easy is to make that same 10 or 15% in the market just by controlling the things that we can actually control? So, those people that are listening to the show, I'm going to just tell them, hey, listen, please don't be afraid to give us a call directly. And if you want to talk to me personally, I'm happy to provide you with a free consultation where we can sit down with you and let you know what the possibilities are. Whether you choose to implement those strategies or not is entirely up to you, but at least you're made aware of them and you're made aware of what the possibilities are. So that way you don't walk into retirement going, oh, geez, I wish I knew about this strategy 5 or 6 years ago, or even 10 years ago. I would have been in a much better scenario. So what we want to do is we want to take the surprises away. And when it comes to retirement planning, we want to plan for the worst case scenario. So that way, if it does occur, so because we plan for it, you're fine. You don't need to worry about it. If the best case scenario occurs, we don't need to plan for that. So what I mean is, if we're planning for the worst case scenario, and let's say Social Security is no longer around when you retire and the stock market crashes and all these bad things happen, if we plan for that and you know that you're going to be fine under that situation, well then great. I don't need to worry about that. Oh yeah, Social Security is still sticking around, or the market's going to make 10% each and every year. That's just going to be icing on the cake for you. So that's what the planning is really about, is putting you in the driver's seat, putting you in the power seat.
So I think you brought up a great point. You think about having a 10 or 15% return in the markets, it's hard to control that. But if we can control our taxes, we can almost do that same thing, but we have more control over that, I would think.
Yeah, exactly. Because, you're controlling taxes, you're controlling how Social Security is going to be taxed, and that's something you can control. So many advisors out there are so busy reaching over the dollars, to pick up the pennies. So if you want a consultation and you just want to know what your possibilities are, give us a call right now. I'll be happy to talk to you personally. Give me 45 minutes. And within 45 minutes, I've been doing this long enough, I can assure you, I'll give you 2 strategies that will enhance what it is that you're currently doing, and it won't cost you anything to do.
That number is 800-700-1980. Again, complimentary, totally complimentary. And that's a great opportunity for you. 2 ideas that will enhance whatever it is you are currently doing just by chatting with him. That's phenomenal. 800-700-1980. 800-700-1980. Rick, as always enjoy our time together. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Have a great week. We'll do it again next week.
Great. Thank you so much, Mark.
Firm offers insurance services. Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC is a registered investment advisory firm. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC.